This is SSPTV News, brought to you by Samsung Productions and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
Remembering a principal, teacher, coach, and athlete. Stories about how Fran Libinati touched so many in the area are next. Hi everyone and happy Hanukkah. I'm Ken Carr with your local information. After a shooting in Hazleton on Saturday night that left a man dead, police are looking for the public's help. 50-year-old Ashok Kumar Patel of Hazleton was killed while working at Craig's Food Mart on Broad Street. Luzerne County District Attorney Stephanie Salavantis says the unidentified male shooter was masked and had a red or orange Nike hooded sweatshirt on. The unidentified male also stole money from the register and fled in what police believe to be a dark-colored Jeep Grand Cherokee made between the years 2014 to 2018. Police are also trying to find this female because she was the last known person in the store before the shooting and may have relevant information to the case. She left the store in this white Dodge Ram Rebel pickup truck with the rear license plate partially secured to the top right corner of the truck. If you have any information, call the Hazleton Police at 570-459-4940, extension 6. You can watch this press conference on the SSPTV Facebook page and YouTube channel. The former principal at the Hazleton Area High School passed away in November. Fran Libinati was a beloved teacher, coach, and athlete in our area who was a mentor to Los Angeles Angels manager Joe Madden and so many others, including Hazleton Area High School Athletic Director Fred Barletta. Barletta shared a few stories about Mr. Lib with me recently.
I was fortunate to have a lot of really good teachers, people that could do that job very well. But he absolutely was the best that I've ever seen. And it was his personality. He was not afraid to make the classroom a lively and fun place to be. There was still an awful lot of learning that took place in his room. I have to make sure everybody understands this. This wasn't that it was a free-for-all, but he just made everybody relax. He was an expert at making people laugh and smile in between teaching American history. And it was just a joy to be in his classroom. And I tell people this all the time. I never once thought about becoming an educator until I walked in his classroom. And after a little while, I said, if this is the way you can do it, I would love doing this. And, you know, people might not remember, he, besides being an outstanding educator, he was a great coach. He was also in the early days of radio broadcasting on WAZL. And when you take a look, so many of the things that I ended up doing in my life actually were monitoring and mimicking what I grew up watching him do.
I'm just curious, what did he say at the end of his classes? You said there was something at the end of his obituary?
Well, yeah, if you read, there was a quote in there about what it took to be acknowledged as living a great life. And it's a wonderful quote. And he didn't say it every day at the end of class, but when we got toward the end of the school year, and it was time to, you know, go out of his class and move on, in this case from 11th grade to 12th grade, he gave us that quote. And it was one then I wanted to go look up and read it. And it summarizes, indeed, what is really the measure of success. And and this was the type of way he did things. And he would interject popular songs and music and movies and television and things that we know. He could relate them to different things in American history. In fact, he told me one time, he laughed. We were in the hallway. I said something, it was about naming the new high school. And a lot of people wouldn't remember this, but 30 years ago, this was a hot button issue. What are we going to call this new school? And everybody arguing, well, this is why you can't call it Hazleton. Some people saying Lower Luzerne County, some people naming it after people. And Fran Libinati came up, as only he could, he said, no. He said, I got the perfect name for it. He says, we're going to call it West Frieselton. And, you know, we just looked, and then it kicked in, West Frieselton. And there was some, you know, little smart pants guy that said, oh, okay, then what's going to be the nickname, you know, the Wildcats? And without missing a beat, he said, we'll be called the Wild Whippetiers. And that just, so now when That argument went on from the 70s. This land where the high school is was purchased in the 70s. There were blueprints for the new school. That's why they built the Career Center where it is. And it went on that long. And then I started using that in my classroom, and the kids went crazy, and they loved it. I think to be a successful teacher, particularly in history, you got to be a good storyteller. And he was great. He was absolutely great. And then when I got to meet him on an adult level, the stories he told me about some of the legendary names in both sports education in the Hazleton area, the Huey McGeeans, the Frank Serenis, the stories were just unbelievable. He grew up with one of the great athletes of all time out of this area, Johnny Yacino, and telling me stories about him in his youth and other guys. He was a tremendous athlete on his own. Yeah. Never would talk about himself, though. He'd tell you about everybody else. This is a guy that went out to St. Francis D1 school and lettered 6 letters or something like that out there. Tremendous baseball player, great basketball player, won the Scotty Roman Award. You could never get him to talk about himself. He would only tell you about games, and he would tell you about others that he either played as teammates with or against. And he would just go on and on and on. And I will miss him, and I will think about him almost every day of my life, particularly walking into these buildings. And he was special.
Today's news feature is brought to you by Workforce Resources, Inc. of Hazleton, in business since 2013, located in West Hazleton. If you're looking for a job, call them at 570-454-8810 and find out how you can apply for specific jobs, including skilled positions and warehousing. Full-time and part-time opportunities are available.
Time now for weather on SSPTV News.
Here's our forecast from the National Weather Service. We do have a winter storm warning. Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning, possible heavy snow totaling 6 inches or more with that storm. 90% chance of snow on Wednesday, mainly after 1 p.m. Highs in the 20s. Wednesday night, 100% chance of snow with lows in the teens. Thursday, there's a 30% chance of snow before 1 p.m. Partly sunny with highs in the 20s. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with lows in the teens. Friday is mostly sunny with highs in the 20s. Friday night, partly cloudy with lows in the teens. Saturday is partly sunny with highs in the 30s, and then Saturday night mostly cloudy with lows in the 20s. Coming up, our in-depth community and sports features and an update from Emmanuel Christian School in Hazleton in the SSPTV Spotlight.
SSPTV News would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Michael Kapulich of McAdoo, the Stanley Ian Losky Funeral Home, will announce their arrangements. Mary Jo Carroll, age 64, of Drums. Services will be held at a later date under the Boyle Funeral Home. Nadia Lynn Flam of Hazleton, the Joseph B. Conahan Funeral Home, will announce their arrangements. Linda Marie Gambetta, age 73, of Hazel Township. Services will be held at a later date under the Crofton Hughes Funeral Home. Rosella Ann Gambetta, age 82, of Hazleton. Services will be held at a later date under the Frank J. Bonin Funeral Home. Wilton Anziani Lara, age 25, of Hazleton. A service was held this morning at 11 a.m. at St. Gabriel Cemetery. Ramona Mejia, age 63, of Hazleton. Services were previously held. And Margaret J. Mitchell, age 96, of Hazleton. The Frank J. Bonin Funeral Home will announce their arrangements. Today's social and obituary report is brought to you by Harmon Funeral Homes and Crematory. Call 570-788-0977 or go to harmonfuneral.com.